why does this happen to me? And what am I doing? I have such good intentions. Why do I keep messing this stuff up? Well, up until this point, stronger than ever, that no matter what, when I do something, I'm going to mess it up. I don't even have to touch it and something will happen. But I feel like I'm just carrying that energy so strongly through it that even what's within 10 feet of me is crumbling. Every day we sit around and we complain, oh my gosh, they think this, or oh my gosh, they said this, or oh, people these days, or oh, the world today. Well, it's up to us to stop making it crazy, because we're the ones who are making it crazy. We're the ones who are leading the world. We're the ones raising the children who are going to then be leading the world. It's up to us to break these cycles, to break the patterns, to break the family patterns, to heal our trauma. I saw something recently and it said, the sexiest thing that I've ever seen is healing.
You're listening to Cleanse, Heal, Ignite podcast, and I'm your hostess, Diane Kaiser, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, former pro soccer player, transformational leader, holistic healer, and life purpose coach, helping you and your business awaken to your full potential. We are a transformation tribe of visionaries empowering, passion-quenching, heart-centered advice to wellness warrior leaders on self-love, nutrition, mindset, and divorcing perfectionism. Our mission is to help you laugh your way to a sexy belly, love your way to vitality, and live your life with purpose by sharing real talk and truth drops that will help you cleanse your body, heal your hormones, and ignite your life. Side effects of this podcast may include all-day energy, happy hormones, perfect poops, increased confidence, becoming your own best healer, and catching the self-love virus. There's currently no vaccination to protect you from this and no known cure. In most cases, listeners experience a strong desire to accept new challenges, ditch toxic people, follow their heart, and dance like no one's watching. If you experience moods happier than usual, live it unapologetically and share with your social media friends immediately.
Hey warriors, I want to share an amazing story with you today. There's a lot to celebrate in this woman that came to me, and she basically was on her knees saying, I know I need a change. I know I need transformation. I just don't know exactly what that could look like because I feel like I've tried everything. And so there's many of you out there who listen to me. I know who you are, and many of you have said to me that you've listened to a lot of these episodes, and I don't know who you are, but I'd love to know you. And this is exactly what happened with Janessa. So Janessa is a client of mine that recently came to me and said, Diane, I've been following your work for about 5 years, and I've just been silently following everything that you say. And it feels like you're speaking to my heart. It feels like you're speaking to my soul. But she waited for a long time to reach out to me because perhaps part of her wasn't really ready to do something about it. She came to me, and you'll listen to her in this journey as we do shed a lot of tears in this one. You'll probably be able to relate to it because it's a real woman's journey of feeling loss and feeling like nobody would understand her emotions and her sadness or what to do to help fix her, because she believed, a big part of her believed that she was broken. She was struggling with a lot of things when she came to me. She was struggling with her emotions, her gut. She had trauma from childhood wounds and a lot of stress. And she didn't know if there was anything that she could do about it because she'd been taking 10 supplements plus a day. She tried all different kinds of doctors and labs and treatments to figure out what was wrong with her, but she just felt like she was lifeless. She was missing something. And so there's a lot of you out there. You're going to a lot of different doctors. You're going to do a lot of different prescriptions. You're even trying antidepressants. In this case, Janessa was doing many of these things. She was numbing out with food. She didn't realize how much she was numbing out with food until we started really analyzing it. She went from drinking a lot of alcohol, and then she went through an actual program and she went through AA to get rid of her alcoholism and her addiction. But the addiction patterns did not stop with AA. They simply transferred from alcohol over to sugar, carbohydrates, gluten. And when I looked at her stool tests and her hormone tests, and she was able to see what her labs were trying to say, because I help what my clients understand through my filter of how we are swallowing our emotions and how we're taking our anger and frustration and sadness out on our body. We wear our emotions on our sleeve, and they show up as symptoms. But many of us feel powerless to it, like there's nothing that we can do, so we continue to numb out. Janessa's story is a wake-up call for us all, that if we can really, really get real and have a relationship with our bodies and learn to listen to them and understand what they're trying to say, then we can find our freedom. We can be free from the symptoms and the suffering and the sickness that it plagues us every single day. So Janesa's story is like so many of we women who have been shamed and belittled and harassed to just take the pill, because that was what was next for her. She didn't know how to numb out anymore because the food was no longer working. She didn't have her alcohol. So she was finally willing to face herself. This journey is a very beautiful, but a hot masterpiece of a journey, just like all of ours. The healing journey is not meant to be perfect. It's not meant to be 100% clear. It's a mess. It can be very messy. But what I say to my clients is you can be a hot mess and a masterpiece at the same time. I call it a hot masterpiece. So Janessa lost her father recently, but she didn't lose her passion to reclaim the purpose within her that she knew was deep inside. So let's take a listen to what she went through to find her freedom. And I have a feeling that every single one of you listening is going to relate and resonate with everything that she says, because there are many paths to freedom and wellness and feeling the best that we were designed to feel. And hers is a windy path, just like yours might be. So please drop the shame. Please find yourself in her and both of our hearts as you listen to this journey. And if you feel inspired after and are also calling in freedom in your life, then reach out to me and perhaps we can have a conversation to see if there's something that I can do that you want to receive to support the path to your sovereignty. Janessa, I love you, and every one of you warriors listening and who have supported me on this path on Chi and the Cleanse, Heal, Ignite podcast, I love you as well. So please take that love, bring it to your heart, turn this into wisdom, and feel some of the parts of you that maybe you've swallowed back for a very long time, thinking that you needed permission from someone else like myself to feel. And their emotions are there to teach you something, not to torture you.
When,
Here we go.
like, your perception of when you started this journey, what percentage of your full potential were you living health-wise? And you wrote 20% max.
Mm-hmm.
And then where are you now? And you wrote maybe 60%. I'm still growing, but I'm feeling great and I'm not stopping here.
Yeah.
So this is something that recently I've been really connecting to on the answer and how we answer.
Okay.
Is the lie of what 100% means, like the 100% myth.
That's crazy, because I thought about that, because I thought, am I insulting the program by only saying 60%? Or am I...
It's not about the program. It's not even, that's not an insult to me or the program. It's not even about that. It's more of a mindset. Like, if you have the mindset that I am, or a belief, right? It's just a broken belief. If you're of the mindset and you truly believe that I am doing my best and I'm doing 100% for what I have, the tools that I have, and the resources that are in front of me at this time, you will always have a mindset that you're 100%. I'm 100% right now. But you can't measure your now to where you think that you need to go, because you're always going to feel behind and that you're never where you're supposed to be. And that will always cause that energy that I'm broken, because you have a broken belief.
Just chills. I was just talking to myself about this last night with my eating.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could say today, I'm 100% today,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it doesn't matter where I'm going and it doesn't matter where I've been today, right now. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I could cry.
Mm-hmm.
Last night I had this revelation. If I could just stop punishing myself for not being perfect with eating. And I have to say, I'm really having some very magical moments and I'm doing really well. So if I could stop punishing myself for not being 100% perfection, then I could go on the next day and I could release.
Mm-hmm.
And I could let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just be,
right.
I could just be Janessa.
This is the other trap, right? Is that, what does perfection look like? That there's that gap between 60 and 100, right? Like, what does it mean when you're finally there? You know, when you could finally say, yay, I'm finally here, versus just being grateful for the moment that you're in, that you're here right now. And that, you know, when you think about symptoms or you think about your mind reacting to something,
that is always your mind and your body reacting to something that is trying to help you get a clue so that you can adjust it. So how are you ever other than 100%? Because it's just information. It's just messages that are going, hey, you know what? Right now, you're actually, there's a thought, there's a broken belief, there's a story here that's causing you to suffer. So, hey, we're just trying to get your attention. So maybe what if you're always 100%? The rest is just information to be perceived through the lens that you have created based on the stories that you carry. So it's just always information like, oh, I'm not 100% because I have symptoms. What if you are 100% because you have symptoms? And thank God that you do, because it's your body's way of communicating effectively.
Right.
So it's always just shifts on how we see the world. But if you're always at this, okay, well, I'm not here, so, but I'm 60 or I'm 70, that energy is what's going to keep you at that deficiency all the time, because you're always at deficient, you're always bankrupt, you're always in debt. Like you're always in debt to something, right? You're always in debt to that idea of what perfection means. So perfection is an ego's definition, whereas divinity is your soul's perception, is your soul's existence. So one of them is just like, I'm here and life is amazing. And that's your soul. And it doesn't even measure 100%. It just is. Whereas, ego goes, well, here's all the conditions by which if we fulfill these bullets and we can check this off, then we can finally say we're 100%.
And I'm so tired of terms and conditions for my life.
Yes. Well said.
Because I feel like everything is terms and conditions for me.
Right. So that's such a powerful visual, because I'm like seeing this 20-page agreement that we have to sign when we buy a
PowerPoint.
House. Yeah. Or like when we freaking sign an update on a phone, it's like terms and conditions. Okay, this is just too long. I have to just check. You just go through the motions, right?
Right. And being 100% doesn't mean that we are not growing anymore. It just means that we are really doing the best that we can in the moment.
And if you say otherwise, if you say that you're 60%, you're smacking the shit out of that inner child that is doing their best and going, no, you get a D. Even though you're doing your best, you still get a D.
Which is what I do to myself all the time. And you know how energetically ran I am.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Remember the boxer I was leaving you sometime this week. Life is such a reflection, and what I just said is that if you are giving yourself a D for measuring Janessa's doing her best, you're also calling that attention in for someone else to confirm that you get a D and that that's what your best is worth. And it will confirm your ego being right every time. And you'll wonder why people don't see you as an A, because you don't see you as an A. Or a part of you doesn't see you as an A.
Wow. But
you're always an A.
I'm an A.
And I hope that you're not punishing yourself for not believing.
No,
that you're an A.
I actually am very excited about this, because right when you were saying that, I'm giving myself an A+. Today I get an A+.
Uh-huh.
And however that looks, I get an A+, because it's about time.
Yeah.
It's about time.
And you can only do better when you're challenging yourself with the tools that you have that are in front of you. You're the only one that knows when you're slacking. You're the only one. If you're like, no, I'm letting fear get the best of me and it's taken over. Like, you're the only one that knows that. I can have those conversations. But how cool is it when they show up, like that boxer you left me the other day? How cool is it when you finally see the numbing device that you have in front of you and you're like, here I am.
Literally in my mouth, right? Yeah. It was insane.
Yeah. And it would be insane if you didn't listen to it. But what's sane is that you finally did.
Yeah.
because insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But you're like, okay, it's the alcohol in my hand, it's the gluten crumb, and the other. It's so magical. It really is. Like, so all of that to say is, it's not about giving Chi or me, Diane Kaiser, more credit, because most of my ego is set aside to say it's not about that. It's about you giving yourself more credit with whatever tools that you amassed in Chi. That's all it is. That you came here for. I'm just this thing that you called in to remind you of how magical you are and how much of an A you already are. Not to be confused with AA.
Right. That too. I have really been focusing a lot on that this week because so many things have happened. And just in general, I'm hard on myself in general, but these big things have really been crashing down. And I'm like, just sitting back. And why does this happen to me? And what am I doing? I have such good intentions. Why do I keep messing this stuff up? Well, I'm carrying with me. And now, up until this point, stronger than ever, that no matter what, when I do something, I'm going to mess it up. So even if I don't even have to touch it and something will happen, but I feel like I'm just carrying that energy so strongly through it that even what's within 10 feet of me is crumbling because of what I'm carrying around.
There's a couple different ways to look at that too. Is perhaps the broken beliefs that attracted the things around you to you are no longer in your field, and that they're falling apart because you have broken up with the broken beliefs. And these things need to crash in order for you to rebuild. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Only you know the things that you're burning down with intention because you want to create a new from it, and that's your Phoenix moment. Or if the things that you actually want to keep and that are good and that are positive and that you've built that you want to keep, are you burning those down and sabotaging? So is it sabotaging or is it arsonizing? Are you setting fire to your dreams or to your nightmare? Like, which one is it? Are you setting fire to the things that you need to release, or setting fire to the things that you want to keep, but you're just egoically injecting your fears into them?
I think a little bit of both. I think because I'm so ready to move forward, but still scared. Mm-hmm. But yet I do think I'm lighting fires to those other things. And I'm having a lot of realization of what I need to leave behind. Mm-hmm. And I don't normally do that because I hold on to things. I have a really, really hard time letting go. And I've been making some decisions. Okay, this needs to stop. We need to let go of this. It's okay to move on with that.
Yeah.
And maybe that is signs that I'm trying to let go.
Yeah. There's something else just popped up in here for you, is that if you have a story that 100% means that you're financially secure, or that you're in a perfect marriage or whatever, or a perfect marriage within your security is innate. That's part of the female brain, right? So you could, and it's just for you to explore. There could be a story in there that says, I'm not 100% until I'm financially secure. And that what financial security means is that I have to stay in something that might not feel good to my heart, but feels good to my root chakra, because it means I'm secure. But it also means that I'm
not secure,
spiritually and emotionally insecure. Yeah. Not secure. So I'm secure in one chakra, but in the other chakras, I am locked up.
Right.
So, that could be it's just stuff to play with. What stories are the ones that you're, I'm holding on tight to this outside thing because it's a belief that I have to this. Mm-hmm. So when you start softening that, well, you know what? Does it really need to be about security and money? Because on the other side of that is a belief that if I let go of this security here, I can't find security on my own because I'm 60%. I'm a deep.
Correct. Which is one thing that, I felt. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what someone said? Someone didn't say this exact thing today, but the vision that came in my head, and someone said, why are you holding on so tight to this? It's a family situation.
Mm-hmm.
When it seems like everyone else in your family has already let go. Why are you the only one holding on? And I had a vision of me holding on to like branding irons that they use for animals or whatever, those hot things. I had a vision of me holding on to that with just my hand and not able to let go.
Like and it was hot and it's burning you.
Burning me.
And we wonder where inflammation comes from, right?
Right.
That's a powerful visual.
Yeah.
Like something emotionally you were attached to and so was literally painful. Setting fire to you.
Yep. So painful.
Mm-hmm.
So I let it go. Yeah. I let go.
What happened after that?
I feel like I can just, I don't know. Like I don't care anymore. I do care, but I don't. I'm tired. That's
when you know you've done your work.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know that you're doing the work and that you are at 100%. You're 100% of where you need to be right now. And tomorrow you're going to be 100% of where you need to be then.
I love it.
And then you just keep going. Your health might not feel like 100%. You might have a stomach ache and you might be laid up in bed, but that's your body's way of saying, we need you to slow down right now because you are doing too much and you need to rest. And that's 100% because then you honor your body and say, body, thank you so much for putting the brakes on because I was too stubborn to do it myself.
Right.
I was attached to needing to numb out or to matter or whatever. But thank you, body, man, I'm so grateful for you that I've got hormone imbalances.
Right.
Because I mentally I couldn't pump the brakes, but physically, thank you for doing it for me. Because
telling me I'm tired. Yeah.
You could have literally drove yourself to death.
Yeah.
So
which is where I felt like on the brink. How I even was still walking around, I don't even know.
Yeah. Don't even know. And then therein lies an issue, right? Like, what if we fixed your hormones and healed your gut, but never fixed the broken beliefs up here? That's where that I never thought about it like this. If you give someone energy and you give someone fuel with the same broken beliefs, they literally could drive themselves to death.
Oh, absolutely.
Never thought about it like that.
Absolutely.
Which is dangerous.
And think about the people who every day are believing they're only living at 20% every single day. That's close.
It is. That's where some people would end up in the ER.
Yes.
Wondering what the hell happened and saying that all of a sudden, where there is no such thing as all of a sudden, unless there's a car accident and someone like rear ends you. But I still even question, energy frequencies. If you're walking around life thinking, things always happen to me.
Yes.
And that's the energy, the frequency, and that's the universe that you create. Some people don't really like to believe that those accidents just happen. And part of me believes that it is, and another part of me believes not. But if you feel like you're in control all the time with God, then it's whatever you've co-created. So,
well, you remember when and one of the reasons that I came to you was because of my second car accident in January, being rear-ended for the second time. And the extra pain that came with that was one thing. And then when I told you that I almost felt like this happened because I needed to heal, and people would be like, you're just bad luck. You're just bad luck. well, I'm tired of carrying around that I'm bad luck and I need to heal. And then the anxiety that it brought. And then, just topping off with my dad passing, and I mean, just everything. And I was tired. What was happening with my life? On the outside, we all know that things happen behind closed doors. But on my inside, I was a mess, literally not living the life that I'm waking up to live every single day. And these things kept happening. Very traumatic things too.
Mm-hmm. There is something that you mentioned there, and then I'll start getting into a couple questions that I have for you, is when what you just shared right there is that if you're carrying a belief that things happen to you instead of for you and through you and because of you, you're in this space that says, I have no control over anything.
Mm-hmm.
A powerless perspective to think that I have no power over my life. I have no control over anything. I've given my power away. I don't know where I left it. Did I leave it at the gym? Did I leave it in my car? Did I sell that car? Where did I leave my power? Oh, maybe it was when I was 15 and had sex for the first time. Whatever. There's
right.
Places that we just like surrender our power with beliefs and then get confirmation that we're powerless. So that is called martyrdom. That is called victim consciousness.
Yes.
That is something that is the lowest vibrational frequency that we can all carry around. But here's the thing, Janessa. People who are listening to this, it's going to be a mind blow for them. It's going to be an eye opener if they even want to face it, because what you've done, the work that you've done for yourself through Chi, was your own commitment to your service, to what you came here to do in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
you were willing to look yourself in the mirror and go, holy shit, could I actually be co-creating this?
Mm-hmm.
Could I be that powerful that I am seeing that I'm a victim of life and I'm just a stroke of bad luck? That means that I've actually, so God created you junk, like you're
right.
just an accident. You're just, oops.
Right.
I just made this accident named Janessa, and you walk around your life thinking I'm an accident.
Right.
And you call accidents to you and you wonder how to get out of it. But you just said it, is that wake up call. So how did that wake up call? So you had an accident, you had a car accident, and that was a wake up call for you. Was it a different shift when you had a car accident? Was it like I got to wake up here, or why do things keep happening to me? What was the thought eventually that led you to do something about it?
I think that my father passing away unexpectedly was the first wake up call for me. Mm-hmm. There's more to life, and dealing with a lot of guilt. Still I deal with, working hard on that. But that was my first wake up call. And then I kind of felt like I've been living in this presence, or just walking around, being a mom, being a wife, but losing touch with so many things that I was passionate about. And then the car accident came, the second one. And then here I was again, living my life for an insurance company, living my life for appointments, being scared to drive again, being scared to take my kids hiking, being scared to, take my kids swimming, to do anything, to go to the grocery store again. And I just one day, I mean, and I've been following you for years, and I knew there was more to this. I was unhealthy. I couldn't, and I wasn't overweight per se, but I was very bloated, I just felt disgusting. I felt tired. I've had a hysterectomy, all these things, all the supplements I was taking, everything. And one day I woke up and I just said, I'm done. I'm calling her. Mm-hmm. And that was the day. And I bawled my eyes out. That was the day. I could cry just thinking about it right now. when I messaged you. I'm in my message, I'm pretty sure, or at least I was feeling it. I just said, please help me, because I don't want to live like this anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Those little spiritual nudges have been there all along.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is how long are you willing to tolerate not living your best life, whatever that looks like? You're the only person that knows when you're playing small.
Mm-hmm.
And so something inside of you shifted and said, I can't put myself in a cage any longer.
And my cage was getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, that's such a potent visual, because when the cage gets smaller, then you start to have body pain. You start to feel like you're trapped, and then the physical symptoms start to happen. And we think that, the victim consciousness mind says, oh my God, my hormones hate me. I've just been handed bad genes. But we've also all been conditioned this way. This is our culture. Our culture has not set us up for empowerment. Our culture has set us up, especially in Western medicine, that, well, you're screwed. You got bad genes and your mom's got it too. So you got to take this pill forever. All right. See you later. 5 minutes into the appointment. And you're like, well, I guess that's true. Cause a lot of other women, they look like they're in cages too. Or there's another part that's like, God, it looks like those women are really happy. Like maybe I just take the pill and everything will be fine. And then like 5 years later, you're like, I done all the things. And I think that's where you were. So let's talk a little bit about that, physically, because I'd like to touch a little bit about, if you're open to it, about some of the numbing devices that you chose over the years.
Yes.
You and I behind closed doors, we've talked about this. And it was when I decided, like, we need to get this out there, Janessa, because I think you asked me something about, do you think that you could ever have a drink again? And I just want to talk about first, before we can get to that, because I have a poignant answer on that. You have been choosing numbing devices for a long time, many of them. What have you noticed in your life when you choose to numb out? What are some of the things that you are numbing out? What are the thoughts? What are the fears? What are the beliefs? What are the stories? Like, what's going on inside of you where you're like, I got to cut this out of my consciousness?
I think it's changed so much over the years. I know when I was younger, it was that I was unlovable, and I really just wanted, and I didn't realize really how miserable I felt inside, how shy I was, how closed off I was. But when I could drink, then I felt good, and I felt like people loved me, and I had friends, and everything was a party, and it was so fun, and it was so great. So I think a feeling of being loved, because at first, when you first start drinking, it feels really good when you're drinking, and it brought me all those good, happy feelings. Unfortunately, that never lasts for anybody. As the years have gone on, then I think normal stresses of daily life. And obviously I quit drinking many, many years ago, but then it turned into food, and especially after my dad died, and not even so much going to McDonald's every day, but not eating perfectly and then shaming myself. And then, especially after my father passed away, food started getting a little bit worse again. I lost passion to cook in my kitchen, but yet I was telling my children they needed to eat perfectly healthy, but then I wasn't finding the desire to even want to put energy into food anymore, because I had so much energy. I don't know how to say this. So much negative energy towards food, because food was bad. No matter what I did, it was bad. Either I couldn't cook it good enough, or not everybody in my family would love it. And instead of just saying, too bad, you need to eat it, I didn't have the strength to do that because of what I was doing to myself.
If you're not cooking your food perfect, if whatever that you perceived that you needed to do perfectly, if it wasn't perfect, what did you make that mean about you as a person?
Well, I was a failure.
And if you're a failure, then
why try?
And if you're a failure, then what does that mean about your life?
What's it even worth living for, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure I was telling myself that all the time.
And who are you a failure to?
Myself. My dad. I think that a lot of that carried over, feeling like I failed my dad. And then, you know, we've got a lot of allergies in my family. My youngest, for sure. Then it trickled down. Then I was failing him. And then, you know, the other kids don't want to join in. And then I'm failing them. And, you know, then I'm failing my husband. And so I was just failing.
What's interesting there is that a lot of these are masculine energies. So you said your dad, your husband, your son. And so now we're talking about ancestral lineage. People always talk about we pass down our genes, but even more so, we pass down the trauma. We pass down broken beliefs. And those are the things that can activate the bad genes and turn on the bad genes and turn off the good ones. They're inflammatory thoughts that create an inflammatory body. So when you feel like you're failing your dad, and this is you know, stuff that we've worked on in the program and we're still working through, right? And so we're pulling back the curtain to the kinds of things that Janessa has done for herself and the kind of work that we do in Chi that helps you to find blind spots that create a story that you want to numb out from. Because I can tell you all day long that gluten sucks. I can tell you all day long that alcohol is going to spike your insulin levels and cause high triglycerides and screw up your liver and destroy your ability to burn fat. But until you get to the root of what you're numbing out from, you will not want to let go of that security blanket that protects you from those thoughts that are hard to think, right? And so that's why Janessa is courageous to come on the show today to talk about these things that have driven her behaviors, and behaviors come from a thought.
Yes.
That come from a broken belief, that come from a story. So the story was that you were letting your dad down. So where did that begin in childhood? And tears are welcome here, Janessa. If you need to cleanse, feel, that's encouraged.
Well, I don't know. I think that having a biological dad who chose to walk away and not be in my life, I think that's really what started the process. And then, as you know, my stepdad who passed away is the one who I consider my real dad. When he passed away, nobody was there for him. And they say that he passed away from diabetes. And I believe that the flu shot had a lot to do with that also. My dad got very sick when he got flu and pneumonia shots. I finally had talked him out of getting the one. He already wasn't feeling well. He went and got that shot. They gave it to him anyways. And that was on a Wednesday. And on Sunday, they found my dad. And, you know, my dad lived alone. And in retrospect, as I look back, so this is powerful. And not a lot of people will understand this, but I feel like my dad knew he was going to pass away probably about a year before he really passed away, unconsciously. Signs he was sending me, things that he was saying to me. And I kept saying, you know, I need to help my dad. I need to help my dad. eat better. I need to send a meal plan to my dad. I need to get back there more and go grocery shopping for my dad. And I never did, because I thought, I never thought my dad I thought he'd be here forever. And then my brother and I were going to go home right after Christmas to surprise our dad. But he passed away on the 15th. And so I never did what I wanted to do. So I feel if I would have just had him here, or if I would have got off my ass and done something, because I wait and I wait and I wait. Why do I wait? Maybe he'd still be here. So it's a lot.
It's a heavy weight to carry, that burden of guilt right there. Before he passed away, and thank you for sharing all of this, Janessa. You've got me in tears too, because your story is not unique to you, although sometimes it feels like we're alone in it. And many people share the same things. It's my job to save my parents. In fact, we all become, at a very young age, we become rescuers. We're taught that we need to parent our parents. And many people will be in denial about this and say, no, that's not the way it is. My parents, were amazing. That could be another big blind spot. Our parents are all human and none of them are perfect. And if you thought that they were perfect, you project that you need to be perfect onto yourself.
Correct.
Your parents are flawed. We're all flawed.
Well, and I think that if my dad were to say anything to me now, he would tell me to stop it, that it's not my fault. And I hear that, and you have helped me, in beginning the process to begin to see that, but I'm holding on, right? With that hot iron. It's hard for me to let go. So hard for me to let go.
To the story, you mean of that it was my fault or I could have changed it?
Yeah.
And based on what you learned in Chi about this whole way of looking at things from a 30,000-foot view and seeing what you have in your subconscious, which is it governs 95% of the decisions that we make in our lives. What is it that you've learned about why you might be holding on to that story, that hot cast, that hot hammer that's on fire, that's branding you and creating fires of inflammation inside of your body and setting fire to your guilt and your shame and your fear instead of setting fire to your dreams? Why is it so hard to let go of that you've learned?
Well, what I learned is that it basically has come full circle for me. And what we have put together is that letting go of that idea, then letting go and being able to move on from my father's death. Because I've carried this story with me my whole life, that my dad and my mother and I have healed. And my mother loves me tremendously, unconditionally. A lot of people do. But the story I carried with me was that my dad was the only man in this world who could ever love me. And when he passed, that I was scared that once again, that I was unlovable. So then instead of drinking, then that's kind of when the food came in. But I can let that go now and realize that I am loved and that My father loved me really well while he was here. My dad was far from perfect, and my dad had a lot of challenges. But he didn't have to love me. He made a choice to love me. And I found that to be the most powerful thing in my world. But there are other, it just comes down to I am still loved. I'm worthy of love, even though he's not here anymore. And what I think that I feel from my dad is that I need to stop putting all that into my dad, and I need to love myself. Because even with all the work that I've done through quitting drinking, through having children, marriage, that I've never really learned how to love me, because all I've done is look at the bad things. And now I can love me.
You're going to have me sobbing.
I wasn't going to cry today.
It's so beautiful. And I see it as, I just see it as such an honor, between the sacred union that you and your father had, and that you're willing to share this with the world and honor him in his life. And Janessa, it's something that I've struggled with my whole life, and why I do the work that I do. And the struggle is the work that I did on myself is the work that I help you guys do. And as I had that same struggle probably 4 years ago, before I really started working on the belief, no man will ever love me like my dad can. If that's a belief that you have, your ego wants to be right all the time. That's that bully bitch within. That's like, I need to be right. I need to defend and prove, compare, compete. And there's that belief. See, look, I told you, no one will ever love me like my dad. No man. Look, it's happening again. I told you. And it's like that energy frequency is so strong. But your heart is like 10,000 times more powerful than the mind.
Yeah.
And so why so many people out there doing mindset work and just do mindset work and just change your thoughts. When you're not looking into your heart, you can't change your mind. No. So what you're doing here is looking into your heart of, where do I feel like I am blocking myself from my own love?
Yes.
That's the thoughts. That's the broken belief that I'm not lovable, that I am, or he's gone and now no one can do the job. But your dad, and what you've learned is that your dad, half of him lives in you. Half of him is in there.
Yes, he is.
And that
powerfully and healthy and loving. So I can break these patterns for my children, for my whole family. Most importantly for me and for my children, but my nieces, my brother, my mom, their families, all of our family. And some people don't like it. Some people are comfortable in their chaos, and some people are comfortable just staying where they are.
Don't take away my gluten. Don't take away my gluten. Don't take away my alcohol. Don't take away my numbing device. I don't want to feel these, what people would label, Janessa, and this is what happens out there, is our culture labels, oh, don't cry, don't be sad. And then people are uncomfortable with your discomfort, because also the same guilt that you're carrying, or that you're learning not to carry around, this whole call's going to be used. I didn't even start this call with a setup. I just started talking to you and thought, this is the show. There's no setup. This is just the show. This is us organically. This is us being us. This is how we talk behind closed doors. And this is our hearts, showing up for people so that you could show up for yourself better. And I think that's what we need. This is the medicine the world needs. So the same guilt that you are letting go of, maybe even have let go of I could have saved my dad. It was my job to save my dad. This is the lie. And when you're crying and when you're feeling these emotions and you're hoping that other people can and start to feel lighter because you've let go of the dark emotions that are not serving you, that are actually keeping you stuck in your cage, then you can see that same belief pattern is happening there. They see you cry and go, oh God, I have a story that I feel like I need to save this person who's crying. So don't cry, because now I feel bad and I feel like it's my job to save you. And that's the savior complex that lives in the ego. That is the reason people will run from emotions and grab for the gluten or grab for the alcohol, because they have a story that emotions are bad or crying is terrible. When look at Janessa, look how beautiful she is. If you're listening to the podcast, go watch the YouTube video. These are real tears. She's cleansing. She's finally feeling the emotions that she has suppressed, that we found that lived in her gut.
Yes.
And that she was pushing down and why do we have disease? That we ignore these emotions like they're bad. If they continue to get the best of you and live in you and hurt you, yes, they're bad. But to feel them is to free them, and is to free yourself from the torture that creates the trauma and that attracts, like Janessa said, the accidents or the strokes of bad luck. That's the frequency that she's allowing to finally feel and to free. So when you say that, you've used alcohol and that you used gluten and food to numb them out, what has changed? You were numbing them out because you didn't want to feel them, and now you're feeling them. How is your body starting to feel? What were the things that you were noticing about how you were using food and alcohol a while ago, but now food as your weapon?
Well, it's funny because I noticed myself putting on not necessarily, kind of fat weight. I couldn't fit in my clothes anymore. But even when I would eat well, I was not losing. I could gain 5 pounds so fast, but I felt like I wasn't expelling anything. Physically and emotionally, I felt like I was carrying 100 extra pounds in my body. Literally, I felt my legs felt heavier, my body felt heavier, my stomach, especially because, I noticed from the weekend that my father passed away, I noticed my stomach just blew up. And I really hadn't been able to lose it since that moment. And when you and I first talked, you asked me, where do you carry your emotion? And I said, in my gut, in my brain, and in my gut. My mom had quit eating gluten and sugar. And holy smokes, she looks amazing. And I never considered my mom to really need to do that, and to be so strong, to be able to quit gluten and sugar and to continually quit eating gluten and sugar. So I thought, okay, I know I need to do this because I'm not new to clean eating. I'm not new to sensitivities and allergies. But when I couldn't stop eating the gluten, when I couldn't stop eating the sugar, or when I would have a bad day and I would go for it, and then I'd feel even worse. Then the weight was getting more. My face was swollen. Then the punishment started coming in. The mind games. You look like shit, Janessa. Why can't you stop? And when I couldn't stop, and I couldn't stop the self-soothing, when I was doing the insulting of myself, I was telling myself, this is like what I did with my drinking. Oh, well, forget it. It's 10 o'clock at night. I may as well just eat it. And I would try really hard all day to do and be perfect, right? And then 10 o'clock at night comes, and instead of just going and crawling in bed, well, forget it. I'll just today. I'll just do it just today, just this once. And I would pick the worst snacks and I would eat all the food. And then I'd wake up the next morning and I'd feel guilty and I'd feel bad because I didn't feel good. So this carried on for a year and a half. And when I recognized that my attitudes and behaviors with food were reminding me of my attitudes and behaviors with drinking, I thought, okay, something's really going on here. And it scared me a little bit because I knew I was very unhealthy. Dizzy spells every day, sheer just being exhausted, sheerly to the point of how was I even functioning? I was pumping so much money and supplements into my body daily, and they weren't even working. Imagine, I think about this all the time too. What if I wasn't even doing those? You know, where would I be? I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And once I started, it was over.
Mm-hmm. That's such a powerful numbing device. And what I'm on a mission to help people see is how many numbing devices that we have in our life. I mean, it just moves. If you never address the roots of what beliefs or stories or thoughts that you are numbing out, you're just going to move on to the next weapon. Mm-hmm. And it's, how is it socially acceptable to eat a ton of gluten and sugar, which, by the way, acts like drugs in your brain?
And that's, now that I'm healing, not to interrupt, Diane.
Yeah, it's okay.
Now that I'm healing, and I've called you a few times like, oh my God, I did it today. I went for not the one piece of bread at Texas Roadhouse. I ate 5 pieces of bread. And remember what I told you then, the symptoms that I had?
Yeah.
Them breaking out in hives, the dizziness, it's exactly what it is. A drug.
Mm-hmm. That was a pivotal moment for you. And it was so huge to hear it. And it was huge to hear you hearing that moment that you allowed yourself, that was like, holy smokes, literally, holy smokes. I set my body on fire just now and I'm in flames and there's smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
As above, so below. Look at Mother Earth right now in California, how many fires are happening, and where is it really coming from? That's not for this show, but we set fire to our own body. And I think that it takes us sabotaging so much and burning ourselves and hurting ourselves to finally go, wait a second. Like you did, you said, I literally broke out in hives. Diane, you've told me all day long, your lab showed it, how sensitive you are to gluten, but you still chose to. What was more important to you in that moment was numbing out a story and going after the chemical response that food created, which is, we could be deficient.
Right.
Yeah.
The comfort, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Air quotes.
Yeah. The comfort. Yeah.
Yeah. But you chose the comfort over the courage to face whatever story or thought that you were having. And then finally, when the comfort became discomfort and you went, this is actually hurting me. Like yes. my stomach is just as bloated as when I first came here. I have this big brick belly. My digestion sucks. I'm uncomfortable. I'm itching. My skin is inflamed. Now I can see how I've been hurting myself for this long, but you can only see how much you're hurting yourself until you start to clean a lot of these things up. You clean up the toxins, you clean up the trauma, and it becomes more obvious when you put the poison in your body. That's the numbing device. But because you did this work, Janessa, while you were simultaneously learning about how toxic these foods are, and you were also learning how toxic these thoughts were, when you take away the toxic thoughts, there's not as big of a need to numb out with the whatever it is, alcohol, food, sex, people. I'm not saying those were you, but your choices were alcohol and food.
Correct.
So now that you don't have the numbing devices, now what? Now where's your life going? you know, you said you're feeling like 20% when you came to me, right? You're like, oh, because I always ask the question, oh, what percentage of your full potential do you feel like you are? And you're like 20%. So where do you feel like you are now? You said before you were feeling like total shit. After you're like this beautiful, angelic strength goddess woman. And while we're always working on ourselves, and there's always work to be done, where do you feel like your life is heading now?
Yes. And I want to reiterate what you just said, because we've talked so importantly about the ideas of perfection that I carry. And I give myself 100% today. I give myself 100%. Yesterday, I took time to rest, and I give myself 100% for resting because I was exhausted and I needed it. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to feel, but I do know that I'm going to be gracious with myself. I punish myself so much that I take away my energy to really do what I need to do and put the good things back out there. So I'm never going to be done working on myself, but I am satisfied today with where I am. I am satisfied today with who I am. I'm happy with where I am today, 100%. And that's a big deal. I have a lot I want to do with my life. I have things I want to change, and I have things that I want to stay the same. And I'm going to be able to put good energy into those now, and my self-talk. And I'm going to stop walking around telling myself that I break everything, that I ruin everything, that everything's my fault. I'm not going to do that anymore, because it is human nature. We do break stuff. We do, make mistakes. We do. And I've always been so open about myself because of my flaws. I've never been one to hide my flaws, but man, I really punish myself for my flaws.
Where did you learn that?
I suppose, all the way from being little, just for not being good enough, being unlovable. Because it really is more than one thing, right? It starts as this one thing, but it's just this whole huge thing with all the life factors that it affects.
Yeah. There's something beautiful that you said when I asked you the question of like, what surprised you and made you the most happy about making the changes that you did inside of Chi? Because like you said about your family, people are always afraid of surprises. They're afraid of change. They're afraid of the unknown. And I like to lean right into the unknown and teach all of you ladies to have an amazing relationship with the unknown, because inside of the unknown is usually beauty and is usually chaos. And it's the hot mess piece that we are all afraid of. We all think it's just going to be this hot mess and we're going to die and we're going to be left alone. And that's what governs it, is that like 98% of our thoughts that are fear-based don't even come true, but 90% of our thoughts are limiting beliefs and fear-based and self-sabotaging. And you said that you were surprised that you actually did this for yourself. You said that I actually put myself first and did a good job at it. For being such an independent woman when it came to the care of my children and home, I didn't realize how much I put my importance into them and not myself, which is actually depleting to everyone. I thought I was a strong woman when in fact I was very weak in my mind. And when I hear where you are now, and when I hear you say things that, to summarize my feeling of what you said, is I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am whole and complete now. Can you imagine a world where everybody felt like they were complete as they were and they weren't chasing a dangling carrot of a never-ending cycle of perfection prison that you can't ever get out of? And you're constantly trying to buy love. You're constantly trying to buy approval and beauty and energy and bioidentical hormones and never addressing it because you don't feel complete. But this is where you are now. And you said that you were nervous about investing in it because you thought, well, you know, what if it doesn't get better? And here you are. You know, some people come here and they think, oh, it's, you know, Diane's going to fix my hormones. I probably should change the name of my program because it's not just about hormones, right? We help you heal your gut and your hormones, but the way that you ultimately heal those things is to heal your trauma.
Do you remember when you asked me, you know, in your words, did you get what you came here for? And do you remember I said no, because what I came here for, I didn't even know that I needed.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even know. I came here thinking, oh, we're just going to run some tests and she's going to tell me what to not eat and I'm going to do it and it's going to be great. Nope, that's not even what I needed. I didn't need someone to run some tests. I could have went anywhere. And I knew that essentially when I called you. I think deep down, I knew that this was going to be more for me, but on the surface, I thought, oh, easy peasy. She's going to fix me.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so much more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. So much more powerful, so much more. I get to be me now. For the first time in my 43 years, I actually get to be Janessa.
You're free.
And I'm excited about that. Free.
You're free. You came here on a spiritual calling. And I believe that every woman who finds this tribe and who finds this energy and taps into it knows that it's more than just functional medicine labs. They know it deep down. Some women are not ready to face it and really do the work and just want the supplements, but that's the women that are like that don't end up here. And that's why I have, you know, this intake journey to make sure that every woman who gets here is here for the right reasons, is not here to play small. She knows, like you, Janessa, that you're here for something bigger. You're here to break down and to burn down broken beliefs so that you can build new wings from them and emerge from the ashes as you have this new phoenix and look down and go, God, thank you, life. Thank you, lessons, because now I have liberation. And you look back on all the things as lessons and you're grateful for them. And you don't look back and go, God, I'm really living in guilt, that just like you said about your dad, like there's no more guilt left because you're free from it. You've broken yourself free from all of those prison bars you were tethered to. And that can't just happen in a pill.
No.
You did the work. You knew what you came here for. Not all the way, not consciously.
But
not even close.
I knew out of all the people that I follow or that you read about or that you see or that you know in real life, right? Day to day, I knew that this program was exactly what I needed. I knew that, but I still had the idea and I still had the belief that supplements would fix me.
Yeah. And we burned that down a little too, that supplements are exactly that. They're there to supplement at the top of the triangle to add to the foundations that we worked on. We worked on removing your weeds and planting new seeds. And that over time, as long as you continue to commit to that journey, that you're always fertilizing that soil, you're always hydrating that soil. And if you continue to put yourself fifth on the list, which is what the average woman does today, she is fifth on the list of importance. Yes. It's kids, it's pets, it's parents, it's significant other, then it's self. And that is the lie, ladies. we have to break out of that matrix because it is killing you.
Yes.
It's not just killing your physical body, because whatever, our physical bodies are temporary. It's killing your soul, and it's draining your divinity. The work that your soul and your heart mission came here to do is constricted, it's constipated, it's constrained in this cage that you have been taught. And Janessa is a perfect example. I use perfect intentionally. She's a perfect example of someone that says, I'm here for a bigger purpose. And to play small is to be selfish.
It really is. And I honestly, to speak on that too, as a mom, and to all the moms doing this work, I have more energy and more love to put back into my family now than I did when I was putting every ounce of my energy into my family, because I really wasn't. Because I was so tired and burnt and worn and just numbed.
Yeah, numbed. You're now giving from your overflow instead of giving from an empty cup.
Yep.
You're not giving from a cup that's full. You're giving from your overflow.
Yep.
And as long as you are, it's never ending. But that's just it, is that you gave yourself that gift of listening to your body, loving your body, and then liberating yourself from the stories that were keeping you stuck. And it is a journey and it never ends. That's the lie too, is that one day you're just going to wake up perfect and you're going to be 100%. And so I just hope that my intentions for all of you listening to this, you know, because with Janessa, I talked to parts of myself too, my former self. I can only do this work with you guys because I have done this work for myself, and I constantly do this work. It is a beautiful, beautiful practice to continue with. And the lie is that it ends one day and you just wake up and then once those are all lies. And that's going to continue to keep you beat up and burnt down. And no amount of adaptogens, no amount of diet changes, no amount of extra exercise routines that you do, no amount of cleanses or fasts, it's not going to help. This is the work that is your foundation. And if you don't have that, then you don't have freedom. And the last thing I'll say here is that the work that Janessa has done here and the work that women do in She is not just for herself. This is for the collective. So my work that I do here with all of us is because this is the medicine that I feel will heal the world, that can shift us back to light from the dark, because we have faced the dark,
Yes.
dark that isn't ours, the dark that's been handed down.
Yes.
So Janessa, what would you like to say to women out there who are in this space of, well, you know, I can't afford it right now, or it's just, my kids are priority, because that's where you were for years until you finally said yes to yourself, right? So what would you say to them?
Gosh, I don't even know. I feel like I need some profound thing, but I don't. Because I said the same thing. Oh gosh, I can't afford it. I'm busy with kids. I'm this and that. You can afford it. You're not too busy with kids. We make the time for what we want, and we make the time for what's important. When we don't have time for something, it's because we are not making it important. I guess I just want to say, do this, because it's up to us to change. You know, every day we sit around and we complain, oh my gosh, they think this, or oh my gosh, they said this, or oh, people these days, or oh, the world today, and oh, it's just such a crazy time. Well, it's up to us to stop making it crazy, because we're the ones who are making it crazy, right? We're the ones who are leading the world. We're the ones raising the children who are going to then be leading the world. It's up to us to break these cycles, to break the patterns, to break the family patterns, to heal our trauma. I saw something recently and it said, the sexiest thing that I've ever seen is healing. And I loved that. Let's heal our guts. I had no clue. And we didn't even talk about that today. The number of things that were wrong with my gut. And from people on the outside, they would never know it looking at me, but I felt it on the inside. Trust that.
Mm-hmm.
Trust it. You can feel better.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. You are somebody that someone would look at and go, well, you're the picture of health. Look at you. I mean, you've got this family too. You've got, the house, the kids, the husband, the business, and everything's great. And look at your body. And it must be nice. She's just got it good all the time.
Oh, you need to eat a cheeseburger. I do.
Right.
Too many.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'll put the video below so that you guys can see. Janessa was courageous also to say, I'm an open book. I want people to see what it really looks like on the inside, as opposed to how people judge your outsides. I was the same way, and I still continue to be, looking at labs. And it's just, you can't judge a book by its cover, even though we do all the time, pointing at my book up there all the time. And you're learning that through your own levels of brokenness that you can put yourself back together like kintsugi, because your thoughts, your beliefs are the gold that can put back together all of the broken and shattered pieces that you have finally allowed yourself to break down so that you could build back together anew. Yes. And that's the beauty in this journey. So it's every time I hear,
space.
What's that?
Having space for yourself.
Yeah.
I, for the first time in my life, feel like I have some space, not boredom, not necessarily free time, right? But space within myself and space to create something new.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Imagine what that does inside of your body too. When you say like, I have back pain, or I have, my knees, my hips, my shoulders, things hurt. Maybe it's because you haven't created space up here. And when you start to create the give yourself permission to have gaps, to not have to pack your day all day because the ego needs to defend and prove that we're just so busy. What are you running from? Usually you're running from your power, and you're putting yourself in a prison to do it. So every time I hear a woman say, well, I can't afford it right now, there's other stuff going on, none of that means anything. All you're saying, stop lying to yourself. All you're saying is, I'm not worth it. Janessa made it happen.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. When you say, oh, I'm just so busy all the time. Oh, I'm just too busy. I want other women to look at that. What are we hiding from when we say that?
Yep.
Because that was huge for me. When I couldn't stop, when I always needed to be doing something, I couldn't sit still with my own self and with my own thoughts. Therefore, I created busy. And we can still be busy, right? When we have life and children, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's busyness with love and with space.
It's abundance versus stressful jam-packedness. It's abundance because you're packing your life full of joy, full of what is meaningful for you, versus you're packing it from your ego because you have to feel this sense of importance and mattering because you're doing something instead of being a human being. You're being a human doing, and therefore we then create that excuse like, I'm too busy. You're creating excuse for living small. Mm-hmm. You're creating excuse for not being big because you're afraid of your power. As Marianne Williams says, is that we're more afraid of our light than we are our darkness. Yeah. So this is the life on the other side. As you can see with Janessa, she's not out there going, well, yeah, look at me. I've done this now and I have $1 billion and a jet and this car. And that's the lie out there too, is that like, you shift your life and then all of that. This is a hardworking mom that just made herself important and is now showing her children what that looks like. That's how we change the future. That's how we change this world. So if you think you're out there changing the world by being busy, stop lying to yourself, because you're not. All you're doing is taxing your adrenals and your thyroid. So that might be harsh for you to hear, but I didn't come here to play small with you guys either. A lot of women don't like what I have to say. but it's because I speak truth, and they're like, damn it, now you're getting me out of my hiding spot.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
But it's beautiful.
Yes. It's beautiful.
I loved every minute of it. And I will continue to as we work together in the future. Mm-hmm. I now welcome that. I'm like, break me down. Let's do it.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because you're receiving it not from a defended ego. You're receiving it from an open heart. That's like, you know what? Yes. Like God has work for me here to do. And whatever that is, whatever that mission is for you, it's all personal. That's your own personal stuff. But when you're taking it personal, versus making it personalized, because, with your mission, it's two different frequencies. So people always say like, oh, but I can't celebrate myself. That's bragging. And I'm like, no, that's from the ego that you've been taught of your mind versus celebrating from your heart with gratitude. So it's not about the thing. It's about where the thing is coming from and the intention behind the thing. That's really all it is. So just imagine like Janessa has had hundreds, probably maybe even thousands of shifts in this space that she has chosen to work inside of Chi with me and the women inside of it, the tribe that we have. That one shift can be a miracle for you. She's had hundreds. So her life is on a completely different trajectory. And she's also detached from whatever happens from it. Parts of us are still attached, but you can just feel the frequency. You could just feel the energy. And I want that for every woman. I want that for every human. And now Chi is a graduate. She's a Chi Hormone Warrior graduate. And she's got a certificate that says that she's now a Chi coach, which means that she can take this wisdom and she can pass it down. So if anybody's listening and is thinking, I want this for myself, I want this to add, I've got lots of doctors who come to us too, and then they add this level of wisdom to their services because we owe this to our patients. A pill is not going to get anybody out of their ill, but really facing ourselves and what we create from our thoughts and our stories and our past that we have unhealed. That's the gift. That's the medicine. So Janessa, thank you for showing up for yourself and for tilling your soil so that you can really fill and fulfill your soul's journey here.
Thank you just for being there for women like me. We need each other.
We do.
We need each other. I love you very, very much. Thank you.
I love you too. And it is fruitful since I don't have kids of my own. It's amazing to put this level of intention and this level of assignment. I'm on assignment. You're on assignment. Mm-hmm. And to do it collectively, it is magical because then you get to see that you're not the only one going through it, but together that we can climb above it and we can be the ones that free other people because we unconsciously give them permission to do the same thing that we are doing. So we are the leaders. You walk in and you are an empowered woman and you carry that energy and you're going to get that back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, friends, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Janessa, for pouring your heart open and for showing the parts of you that you were afraid to show before. But this is how you know that you're free, is that you're willing to show all of these parts and in your insecurities and your past and be present to all that you are now so that everybody else can feel like, hey, there's no part of you that you can't lead forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, Chi Warriors, thanks for being here today, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If this episode really tugged at your soul and you're ready to have your personal breakthrough, we would love to have a heart-to-heart with you to get you crystal clear on 3 things. What do you want? What's standing in your way? And how do we get you to your soul goal in the fastest time possible? Visit my site, dianekaiser.com/call to schedule your free 1-hour connection session with one of our warriors to map out exactly how you want to look, feel, and live. We've helped thousands of women warriors just like you all around the world free themselves from the symptoms and suffering they never thought possible. And you just might be our next success story. Talk soon.